Today's guest is a former U.S. Marine who served for over 6 years. The discipline and life lessons from the military helped her overcome adversity, even turning pro at NPC Nationals in 2017 and placing in the top 10 in her first Olympia in 2020. This person's always happy, even for everybody, regardless whether she takes second or fifth, and she has a great sense of humor throughout everything in life. However, even with the highest of highs, everybody goes through personal challenges in life that affects their mental health, especially with depression. This competitor talks about how self-discovery helped her find her identity and how bodybuilding saved her life. Now, being third in the world at the Olympia, some say that she is the frontrunner to win the Arnold Classic Bikini International title. Here's a podcast with four-time Bikini Olympian Jasmine Gonzalez, aka Jazzy Fresh. No, it's all good. So how
Little
are you?
technical thing going on, guys. Yeah,
So we are how many, like, almost 2 weeks out right now?
yeah. Okay, I'm what is it? 17 days out? Like 17 days? Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
craziness.
So how are you feeling coming up and for this Arnold?
So good, man. Like honestly, like with the comparing like the last like what is it, 8 years of competing, it's definitely by far one of the smoothest preps that I've ever had, and I have, my reverse protocol to credit for that because I actually followed my reverse to a T post Olympia, and so it kept everything relatively tight. I stayed within like 4 or 5 pounds of my stage weight, which is like 6 to 8 pounds above my most depleted weight. So we started prep at like 9 or 10 weeks out from the Arnold and have just been like smooth sailing since, just micro adjustments along the way and seeing progress each week. So we're there. It's coming together very nicely. So pretty smooth so far.
So I wanted to bring you on to, get to learn about your journey and how you get started. You were a former Marine, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. I served 6 years in the Marine Corps. Yeah, right out of high school.
So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so um I joined right when I was 18 years old. I wasn't actually like pursuing the military at any point in my life prior to that. Some kids go like ROTC and do all those things. No, I had
Yeah.
two colleges that I had gotten accepted into with scholarships. Like right at the beginning of the senior year, you find out those things kind of, if you enrolled or registered early for those colleges. So I found out, but there was a time like in my senior year where out of nowhere I was walking through a study hall and I had seen like the military section. And the thing is, I was an AP honors kid growing up. I took all advanced classes. So in my senior year, I was only required to take two classes to be able to graduate and be done. So I could have done just the two classes and the rest of my day go work or do something. But no, I was an overachiever and I took on six AP and honor classes along with the dance academy. And so at that point, I was like burnt out. And so during that study hall, when I saw the military section, I was like, this looks cool. Could somebody connect me? My guidance counselor about had a brain aneurysm burst or some shit because they were like, wait, what? Like, you got two scholarships. What are you doing? Everybody was like, you're throwing away your future. You're ruining it. Like, it was crazy. I was like, I'm just sick and tired of school right now. I've been grinding in these AP classes. I'm sick of it. I am tapped out. Let me go do something easy and join the military.
But Marines are not. I work in government. Marines are not easy to do. They don't say in those commercials, "The few and the proud, the Marines for no reason." There's less Marines that are in the Army. So to like think, oh, this is gonna be, it wasn't. I don't think so. But for you, so I'll give you a good story about that. I had a classmate named Awad, and he wanted to join the Marines because he's like, it looks cool. I want to join the Marines, but it's just all think fast, like on the fly, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. He couldn't duck crawl very fast in time. And did you remember doing duck crawling?
Duck
And
crawling, they probably call it something different, but yeah, there's different
yeah,
kinds of things. But what happened with
well, they
him?
have like BB guns firing at you and you just got to go through. He was going slow and the person's like, I can't have you. So then he went to the Army.
That is so funny because I had
And he
actually
didn't have
talked to an
the
army recruiter
yeah.
first, and the army recruiters just seemed too salesy to me. I was like,
Yeah.
talk to somebody else. I had no idea about like the Marines or what the services were. But like when I saw the Marine recruiter, he was this tall black guy. I swear he looked like Will Smith and everything. And I'm like, yo, he's cool. Sign me up. I didn't know anything about the military. Nothing. Nothing. But coming from the background that I did, like with my mother, she's very hardcore, strict, and tough on us. She's from the Bronx, New York, Puerto Rican Italian mother. So she was very hard on us. That when I went to boot camp, my recruiter was literally getting calls from my drill instructors. Like he asked my mom, "Why is she having a grand old time out there?" They saying she's just laughing at shit. Telling you because I'm like these drill instructors are getting so mad and screaming in my face. I have no bearing, and so I will like. They're like, "Oh, you want to laugh?" I'm like, "No, ma'am. Do you find this funny?" "No, ma'am." I'm like, you're just so mad at me. I'm like, nobody's scarier than my mom. So I was like, okay, you're just hazing me a little bit. So it was a tough, experience going through boot camp. However, I had that upbringing where things were strict, regimented, and I had a really tough ass mother. So the Marine Corps, it was I wouldn't say it was a cakewalk, but it wasn't the super, super hardest thing for me to get through mentally or physically at
Yeah.
the end of the day. But it was once I got into service where life started to do its thing. Yeah, I was 18 years old, came from a home where my mom was a single mother of 6 kids. So she growing up, she had me at 17 years old, my sister at 18, and then the other kids before the age of like 26. So she had 6 kids by 26 and she's a single mom after a point. When I was like 14 years old is when her and her last husband had like separated. So she was on her own raising all of us. So I came from that type of experience to go into the military where, I didn't have a lot of life experience in terms of like being aware of people, things, and that because my mom sheltered us. She wanted to try to keep us as safe as possible from the world because of what she endured in life. So that's when life started lifing. But in the military where I served in Okinawa, Japan for 3 years. And then after that, I went to Paris Island where Marines go to boot camp that are on the East Coast. And so I trained recruits at field training companies. So my job, what I did, the specific title is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear defense specialist. And that really is just a long, fancy name for I run the gas chambers and teach Marines and recruits how to protect themselves against any type of chemical, radiological, nuclear attack kind of thing, to prepare, defend, monitor, all those kinds of things. So in the fleet and in boot camp, what we do is we bring Marines into the gas chamber and expose them to CS gas, cracking capsules. In the fleet with just Marines, you usually do one capsule per 10 Marines. But in recruit training, we like 10 times dose that. It's a haze fest. It was lit. We were murdering mother effers out there. But no, it was a good time. So that's what I did essentially when I was in the military. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel like that time gave you the discipline to where you are now to like go through prep, go and even being a competitor?
Absolutely, it did. Thing is, like, we had to endure things that we never wanted to do most of the time. Like, every single day, we're PTing, having to do anything from a 3 to 10 mile run, whether it's in boots and utes, green on green, up hills, down hills, whatever it was. We had to do it regardless because it was part of the job. So, essentially, you're disciplined to a whole degree. You're disciplined to the whole degree of just the military itself. So it definitely transfers into what I would say regular civilian life. All these things are things that I'm choosing to do at the end of the day. Of course, yes, I volunteered and enlisted in the military. However, I had to do a lot of things that I didn't really want to do at the end of the day. So getting out and choosing the things that I'm doing right now, it's not nothing. It's nothing but a thing for me to just execute and feel disciplined because I'm choosing to commit and dedicate myself to these things. So being able to stay dedicated, committed, and disciplined, it just comes now second nature to me because I look at it as this is a choice. So if I'm choosing it, I'm going to embrace everything about it and do it to the best of my ability because I'm not going to go and commit to something and half-ass it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what got you to where you are. So you did your first show in 17 or 16?
2017 in March. It was actually at the Clash Championships. Yeah,
Okay.
I got
And that's what
sixth at
got you
that
nationally
show.
qualified?
No, I got sixth at
Oh,
that show.
oh.
And then I did a
Which one
show.
got you? Yeah.
I did Riptide Classic like 3 or 4 weeks later. It was a Tim Gardner show, and that's where I got second place. He had actually told the guy that was coaching me at the time that I should go to nationals, and I had no clue what any of that meant. Like, I had no clue what anything was in the competing world. So when he said to go to nationals, I did. I went to Junior USA's May 2017, and I got fourth at my first national show. And the funny thing that a lot of people don't know is I was the only competitor in that bikini division, maybe even out of all females, who had a plain bikini. I had no rhinestones on my bikini at that show. And I placed in the top five, and nobody knew who I was. So that was a pretty fun thing. But I actually want to say, like, how did I get into competing? Was
Yeah.
I had an old friend back in Japan. She used to be in the gym, and then I had another friend. He was my direct coworker, and he was also in the gym, and he was into like the bodybuilding stuff. What was funny is there are times where I used to like make fun of him because he's like looking at the Arnold bodybuilding Bible book, and I'm like,
Mm.
that's weird. Why are you looking at half naked men? And I'm like, come on, let's go drink. And he's like, no, I gotta go to the gym. I'm like, screw that. What do you mean? We PT every day. Let's just drink. So I've got the exposure a little bit to him to what bodybuilding was, but then it was really my friend who she left Japan about maybe 4 or 5 months before I did. And then I left Japan and I'm in Paris Island at this point. Like my life was just party, party, drink, work, party, party, drink. And that was it from like Wednesday to Sunday kind of thing. So coming to the States, I didn't have my normal friend group anymore. I was traveling like 2.5 hours to go find my friends. And I was like, I'm sick of this. So I saw my friend had done a show out of nowhere. She's in Cali, and I see her. She did figure, and I was like, "Oh shit, you look so good!" I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I just want to get healthy. Let me, can you give me your coach's name, whatever? So I hired her coach to help me with my first year. That was in January 2016. And for like that whole year, I pretty much just did lifestyle type of shit. And I was like the worst lifestyle client too, because I lied every week about if I hit my macros or not knowing that my coach knows I'm cheating on my diet every week. But I taught myself how to train during that point because I would take time in the gym to learn all the exercises. So that's what I did during that first year. But also during that year, I went through some of the most trying times in my life where, you know, being in the military was a normal thing. All right. They say you weren't really in the military if you don't leave the military with one NJP, a divorce, and, you know, PTSD. So I was going through a divorce at that point, and it was a very, very strange situation. So it put me in a very, very bad spot mentally to the point where in the beginning of 2017, like even in 2016 at the end, like I had two instances, but the beginning of 2017 in years was my second time in a psych unit for trying to take my life. So at that point is where I finally committed to after that whole situation. I was in there for like 2 weeks. I got out. They started processing me for a medical retirement out of the military. And at that point, I was like, I need something. And so I was on base, and at the gym that I was going to, there was a girl there who trained people, and she also competed a couple times. So I seen, you know, a couple of the girls there. I was like, okay, I want to compete, but I thought I was going to be competing in figure because originally saw my friend. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. Then I saw a couple of the girls there doing bikini posing, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty. They look like they're dancing because figure just felt super stiff with the quarter turns.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to do that. And so then she took me under her wing and coached me into my first show, and essentially bodybuilding and just the process of it all saved my life that year. And yeah, 2017, I did my first show in March, and 8 months later, I won my pro card, which was literally 3 weeks after I got my EAS from the military once I got out. So it's crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. So I remembered and I recalled you did your first Olympia in 2020 and you qualified on points, but and I remembered in one show in particular, and this is your positive attitude. I remembered one show, you're always happy for everybody. Even when you get second, you're still happy for that other person. You're not that person if you got second, you're like, darn, I just lost. You're happy for that person. So do you remember that one show you did with Ashley and Daraja? And Daraja won, you started crying for her.
Yes, yes. I think it's because that was our first show together where she was a pro. I had worked with Daraja during her first show all the way up to like her doing her pro debut with on her posing. So it was like one of those like full circle, like I'm with my girl, a girl that I've watched like grow from an NPC like amateur to becoming a pro to now she's doing did her pro debut and then her second pro show, and we're there together. I think I had like gotten fourth or fifth at that show, if I remember clearly. But yeah, I was just elated. I'm always happy for everyone. The thing is with bodybuilding, like since I served in the military, I have a broader experience or knowledge of like what the world is. Bodybuilding, as much as I'm so passionate about my accomplishments and what I accomplished along the way, it's not the end of the world for me if I don't win a show, if I don't place, yeah, in the moment it may suck for like half a second for me, but I'm like, life goes on. Like, there's so much bigger things
Yeah.
happening in my world and in the world in general to feel so upset over a placing I have zero control over. So that's why I always practice gratitude regardless of what happens. And I'm always going to be happy for the next person because if that's me winning, I would not like to have my moment dampened by somebody's sour attitude on stage or their face or them like you can sense somebody's energy when they are upset. Yes, you could be upset, but like don't exude that you're so upset that it kind of makes everyone else feel a little uncomfortable. Like I'm going to always cheer other people on because everyone works so incredibly hard to get to where they are. Everyone has a backstory of, trials and
Yeah.
tribulations. So I'm very considerate of that fact whenever it's my time or not when I'm on stage.
Yeah. So I remembered your first Olympia. It was people qualified at points. Jen in her first two, she qualified in points, and she went from 10th to fifth. And then you got, I think you were ninth. You were ninth in your first one, and there were 40 girls in that. So it was you, Ashlyn, Maya. I forgot that other girl, but
Brina Martinez.
yes, Brina. I was just about to say, I'm like,
She's like
she
my
wore like, yeah,
sis.
yeah. I was like, I was about to forget the name, but you knew it right away.
Yep.
She was incredible. Like she was like multiple time Olympian, and you got into that top 10. So what was that experience like for you? In your
It
first
was
Olympia?
it was insane because it was 2020 and it,
Yeah,
it was such a long year. Everybody is waiting to compete. Like I started my prep in 2019. So at the end of 2019, I'm starting my prep for shows in April is what I was supposed to compete, but I didn't compete till July. So July, August, I think I was competing all the way up until literally December. Like I competed in Battle of Texas 2 weeks before the Olympia, and thank God I did because I got a good posing adjustment from Tyler at that show that made or break my top 10 at the Olympia. But by the time I got to 2020 Olympia, I was in line with a girl that I was on the same team with at that time, and we were just talking shit. We were just there like, can we just be done with this shit? I'm done. I'm over this. Like I want to go. We're just so beat up from the year. We're like
yeah.
standing in line trying to get our packages, and it's COVID, so everything is still super like edgy and regulated, and people stand over here to do that, move here. So it's like, I'm sick of this. I'm tired. And then that happened. So it was just like one of those, like, okay, like my hard work and my dedication through this crazy year, it finally paid off kind of thing. So it was great. And especially
So then
going
you're
off of
going, yeah,
points, I was
yeah,
like, to qualify off of points and then to make it into the top 10 like that. I think both all of me, Ashlyn, and Brina, we were all
yeah.
top. We were the ones who qualified on points, and we all got 8, 9, 10, which was crazy.
I know, and I always thought, and I always sometimes ask people about this, and I sometimes think that I think if you show that you are good enough in your placing, I think that they should have a point system again. You know, it gave people a reason to keep competing and keep going. I kind of think of what would have been if you had not qualified in points, or would have Jen not have qualified in points. You know, will we see how
100%.
great you guys are today?
Exactly. Mm.
I mean, there are not many pros that have more than at least 4 or 5 wins, and they've gotten to the Olympia and they've done pretty well. So I don't think to say that, oh, you didn't win a show, you're not good enough. No, Jen B. I'm not trying to sound like I don't like Ashley or anything like that. I love her to death, and she's the reason why I started liking bikini. But Jen to keep getting second to fourth almost all years to like the top, some of those top 5 girls, and then at her second Olympia she gets fifth and Ashley gets sixth. It was like, hey, she's showing that she can win. She didn't win her first show until her third year.
Mhm.
And so this goes into you. You won your first show in 21, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And which one was that?
That was Pacific USA's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then going into that Arnold in the Olympia, it wasn't your best. What do you think happened that
No.
got you into like top 10 and then all of a sudden last call out?
Life, mental, all that. I had went through a pretty dramatic summer that caused me to switch from one coach to the next. So that whole ordeal like threw me off. And then so getting with a new coach who may have just not known my body well, we like did a lot of different things than I had done in the past that I feel like maybe brought my physique in a little differently. But then also it was just a combination of that plus the mental piece. Like I was pushing hard still. I was sticking to everything to a T, but I think my body just was worn out because of the mental piece too. Like even though my mind
Yeah.
said it could keep going, my body was the one that was like not responding the way it needed to. But then like I said, also protocols leading into it. There were some things that I think in hindsight that were done that may have compromised the way my look came because I've never done certain things in the past. So yeah,
Hmm. And then you
combination.
went into 20, then you went into 22 and you got second at Tampa and then Pacific USA.
I got
I wanted to
6.
know from that Pacific USA, the one you got sixth in, what
Yeah.
was your feedback from the judge?
It was just
Because I was like,
conditioning.
yeah, yeah,
It was just conditioning, and at that point, like, I had hormonal stuff going on. I think I had started either ovulating or PMSing. It was during that I felt it, like, I literally could feel it in my ovary, like, the change. I was like and I could feel the change in my body. However, still on the mental piece, I was going through a lot. Like, when I went to California for that show, I literally was going to that show just to be able to try and snag my qualification to then get in a car and drive cross country back to Florida with my dog. So like I had a whole bunch of stress behind me coming into that because like there was a whole lot of family stuff that was happening. Like my family was essentially falling apart. My mom was like living out of her truck due to some family like conflicts. There was a whole bunch of shit just happening that like in the back of my head while I'm living in Tampa, I'm stressing the fact that my family is going through all this stuff. So I'm trying to like help them, help myself. I'm financially in the worst position ever because I'm still paying for some rent in California plus my place in Tampa, trying to help my mom out now that they're going through all this crazy stuff. So that as well, I was just not mentally in it. I was not focused. So I
yeah.
was completely drawn out. So that's why I just kind of like pieced out after that show. Kind of like went into a hole of depression from August
Mm.
till now, like January, February of 2023. And I know a lot of people like were hitting me up at some points, like, cause I wasn't posting on social media for a while. I kind of like went ghost and just completely just went off of my stuff. And so at that point, I had to get into the hole of the depression to finally like kick that shit. I left Tampa, went down to like South Florida around there, and then I started to feel a little bit like myself. And it wasn't till, which is the funniest thing, I had talked about this with someone else, is I had started serving as like a waitress and bottle girl in a strip club. for like 2.5 months in 2023 from March till June. And it was the most enlightening experience of my life. And the reason why is because it actually allowed me space to be myself, like to just not have to be anything other than me. When I say that is from being a kid to the age of 18, I was an overachiever and a student and a daughter and a caretaker for the rest of my family. Then I was a Marine and then I was a bodybuilder. I never identified who I was outside of all the roles that I obtained through life. So I feel like there came a point like I'm wondering, why am I finding myself in these back to back shitty relationships that throw me off or take me away from who I am? It's because I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. I got to figure out who Jazzy is, what she actually likes, what she wants to tolerate, what she doesn't want to tolerate. So going into a world like literally a strip club, which is like the most sinful place, it gave me like a battleground to practice setting boundaries, being able to talk confidently to anyone and everyone of all statures, because in the club came either the bums or the rich men, you get the bearing. So it gave me a platform to practice how to like stick up for myself or stand up for myself kind of thing, which I carried out into the rest of my life after that. So it gave me an air of confidence outside of all of the titles and the accomplishments that I had. It gave me confidence just in myself versus in my roles. So once I quit that job in June 2023, it was like a month and a half later is when I hired Cash, because I was at that point. I had my apartment in West Palm. I was chilling. I was back on the up and up. And then I was like, it's go time. And so that's when I got back at it.
Yeah. And what was something that you when you went to Cash, what was something that when you hired him, going through that, what was something that was like, I can't guarantee results, but if you put in the work, you're gonna like, because he was a new coach at the time. Because in that
It
season he
really
had
wasn't.
Ashlyn.
I've
Yeah.
known him. I had known him for a while from the industry, and I knew that he had coached Callista Upperman since forever. Like, so I seen him around, and I seen some of his work. And then once Ashlyn got with him, he was on my radar after some time. Like I was like, oh, it's interesting. So around that July timeframe is when I had like sent in my letter of like resignation with the team I was with before, because I was like, I need to find, something different. I need that like hard ass on my, shit, because that's what I'm used to. My mother, the military. I need someone who's like a no bullshit approach, like no fluff, just as direct. And it almost has like an air of like he can be an asshole kind of thing. I need that in my life with authority. I don't need nobody like sugarcoating nothing. I need you to tell me if I'm messing up, I'm fucking up, tell me. I can take constructive criticism, or even, you know, you want to call me a name, go ahead. I'm fine with it, because obviously I'm acting out character for you to have to call me out of character. I need somebody who's able to do that. And like first phone call with Cash, I could sense like he don't bullshit. He don't care about
Yeah.
like the keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. And I appreciate that. I wanted a coach who was just going to coach, and that's it. Like just is passionate about the coaching aspect. And I saw what he did with Ashlyn, and so I was like, I feel like he's someone who's able to take a pro who may have been good and may have fell to the wayside a bit and was able to improve them. And that's what he did with Ashlyn. So, I went with him, and yeah, it's just obviously history shows what happened, but it
Yeah.
was just
And
work
you know,
hard.
when
And that's what I appreciate about him. He was honest. He was like, just work hard. And that's what he demands, is you just work your hardest and put in your best foot forward every single day with everything you do.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, and when I was asked who do you think's the best coach in bikini right now, and everyone voted for and the people who voted for Cash, I was asking why, and they said it's not for him about accolades or accomplishments or pro wins,
Hmm.
overall titles. For him, it's getting the best out of you guys, you, Jordan, Ashlyn. He gets the best out of you, you of you girls, and I think
Because he
that's what really
demands
makes
it.
him a
It's like
yes.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know if people who listen in will feel some kind of way saying this, but like I have a fear of this man. Like I don't want to disappoint him. I really don't. Like it, and that's good to have. Like just like if you were on a basketball team, you don't want to disappoint your freaking coach. You want to like make sure you're doing everything you need to as a team so that when your coach comes and sees what's up and you guys are like given the yeah, you guys are doing good or you guys are on the right path, but you know you're going to get an ass chewing from your coach if you guys are doing anything less than your best. And that's the kind of coach that I needed, and that's what I have with Cash. Is like he don't play this like, oh, you half-ass some shit and think that that's gonna fly. No, I need somebody to call me out on my shit. Just like when I'll like miss something in my, oh my God, I missed like something in my email, and I'm like on the fly just talking about some shit with him, and he's like, aren't you supposed to do this? I was like, fuck, I told on myself. I'm like looking back at the email, I'm like, oh. He's like, don't let it happen again. I missed one check in the beginning of 2024, and it was the check in right after New Year's. Okay, so I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna just check in the next week. You know, it's just New Year's. I don't feel too good. Like, well, and he didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. I just waited till the next check. I sent him my check. He goes, he's like, hey guys, got check-ins. First off, you missed last week's check-in. Unacceptable. The way that unacceptable hit my heart. Oh,
The way
I
he said it. It's the way he said it.
can hear his voice, like, and it's like, see, I don't want that. I don't want to be on his bad side. I always want to perform so that I know I'm doing everything I need to, so that when my coach looks on the outside looking in, he can pick and play and move things around because I've done everything I need to. And if he needs to put his hand into something, he can easily do so because everything else is in order. So, yeah.
So I think this is one of your best years in 24. So
Yeah.
you did the Orlando show, then you did at Atlanta, and
Atlanta.
you won that.
Hmm.
And so you're going to your third Olympia, going into this Olympia. And listen, don't take me the wrong way. Some people asked if I thought you were going to be in the top 10. I said, she is a top 10. You are a top 10 girl. And he's like, where do you think she's going to land? I'm like, this is a tough lineup because 52 girls. I said 10 through 12. I think you can definitely push some great girls. And when they called you in that first call out, I was like, oh, like, I was like, oh, Jazzy is on today. And so I wanted to share this. And I don't know if I vividly remember just seeing it and how hyped Cash was, but let me show you this. When Sandy called all four of you guys back, and I saw that like surprised look on your face, I was like, my eyes just like brightened up, and then Cash got up and he was so
You
hyped
see
for you.
Issa, you see Issa right there. So that's when I started to freak because first off, I'm already freaking out that I was in the first call out. So obviously I was on the end there. So I'm like, okay, I'm in like the top 8, okay? But they'll move people around. Let's see where are they moving us around. So they moved me in a little bit and I'm like, okay, cool. But then they moved me over to that side. But before they moved me and Issa, and they go and move me and Issa. At this point, when I see Issa go this way outside of me and I move in, I'm like, where am I standing on stage? Am I close to the middle? Am I on the outside? Where am I? Because they just moved Issa out and everybody had Issa in their top 5. So I'm thinking, am I in the top 5? Like, where am I at on stage? And so then when they call off the top and I hear number 19, I'm like, absolutely nuts. I was thinking, like, what just happened?
And wait, let me get this one up. Oh no, wait, let me get this. How emotional you were right here.
Oh, that was right before that was like 2 or 3 days out, like either the Wednesday or Thursday before the show. Yeah, Thursday prior to the Olympia. Like I saw my check-in and I looked at my camera and I saw myself and I was just blown away. You know, there's not many times that I'm super impressed with myself. I'm very, very, hard on myself like most people are. Because I'm just always looking like, what can I improve? You know, that's all I care about. So when I saw myself and I just saw how tight everything was, how full things were looking, and just the balance of my physique, I was like, I just had this feeling. I was like, I know I'm going to do really well. Like, I know I'm going to definitely get into the top 10. I know I'm definitely going to get into the top 10 when I saw that look. Like, there was no doubt in my mind. So I was so drawn to tears. And I just felt like this, wave. And I swear it was God. I know a lot of people have their views on what they believe in, but that was one of the craziest things ever. Like seeing that myself on Thursday and then seeing my coach later on, like I was like, I feel like we're on. And that night before like the athletes meet and greet and all that stuff, Cash and I had a conversation by the elevator before we were gonna go off to our wins and all this stuff and just chill. And we're just talking about like what could happen this week. I'm like, yeah, I'm just really hoping for, a, a top 10 this year and then maybe in the next year or so get top 5 and then I'm gonna retire.
But that didn't happen. And so you exceeded your expectations. Like you think, well, I hope to. Like, I think a lot of people think, well, I hope to place, hope to be at least top 10. But then you exceeded that, and you go all the way to
Yeah,
third.
yeah.
You from going from last call out
But
to third.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm like, what? How?
like
Because,
I'm
like,
just,
obviously, like
yeah.
everybody else, like, obviously, I had my, nervousness and stuff about, like, if I'll get in the top 10. And it wasn't on the fact of, like, could I bring it? It was more like, do people even remember me? Those judges, do you even remember my look? Are they even going to see me out of all the girls that are there, all the people who have been heavy hitters in the last 3 Olympias that I haven't been at. I haven't been to like 2 or 3 Olympias since. So there's a lot of people who have established names. They have had eyes on their journey since. Not many people had eyes on my journey. Like some people saw me coming, but not many people. Like you said, not a lot of people really had me in their predictions just because I hadn't been out there for a while like I was before. No, my competing seasons before I was competing all the time, so people saw me all the time. But all I did was 2 or 3 shows. Well, I did this show in November with Cash, my first show back, and then the 2 this year. But it wasn't like they were the biggest shows of the year either. So it's not like I was really on anybody's radar to look. So it's like that looming in the back of my head. I haven't been in front of a lot of these judges in a while. I haven't been connected with a lot of people in a while. I haven't been to big seminars in a while, kind of thing. So I'm like, I wonder if anybody's gonna remember who the fuck I am. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, I just hope that they notice me and that's it because I know I look good. I just hope they notice me kind of thing. Because all I wanted to do was step on that stage at finals. Like that was it.
Yeah. So I was gonna say what happened to you is almost like Angelica when she did her first Olympia. Like she was just trying, she's from Brazil but lives in the States at the time, and it was August, and it was like the last couple of shows in August, and the Olympia was in September. And she's like, I'm gonna try to qualify, and then second in Tampa, and then second in the next, and then she finally won her first show, and then did her first Olympia, and she was second to last place, last call out, and then following year did the Arnold, and then won every big show, Pittsburgh, New York, and then gets second to the Olympia, dethroning Ash. Well, Ashley was fourth in that one. Courtney won that Olympia. That was the first time they
41.
ever had yeah, they had 42 girls in that whole lineup.
That's
It was the first time
crazy,
they ever
that
had
show.
40. Yeah, and from that point forward, it just you're going on a high. So now you're on this high right now. It's almost similar to that. So my question for you right now is going into this Arnold. Do you feel you're like the front runner to win it right now? Have you ever been in this position like I'm the front runner to win a big show?
No, I've never been. So it'll be a first time. But I just see it as any other show at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like, yes, it's the Arnold, it has such prestige, but for me, competition is competition, and I treat every single one the same exact way. I approach it with a fierceness, and I'm just going to be bringing my absolute best, and that's all I can do. And it's up to the
So
judges, and it is up
yeah.
to what else anybody else brings at the end of the day. So everybody better bring their best. I'm just saying.
Right now, that's like you don't have any current Olympia champions in it or past Arnold champions in it. Well, actually, Angelica, but with you, with the top, with you, Amy, Vanya, Maria, and Ashlyn as well.
Ashlyn.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with all of you guys going, it's like everyone's going to try to go for it. So it's like
Oh,
they always
100%.
say, they say
Guns
this.
fully loaded and blazing, guys. Let's go. I hope y'all guns are bigger. I'm just talking a little shit. A little shit's a little. I love you guys. I like to spice it up.
So,
I'm a Marine, man. We like to talk shit. It's all love, though.
so let's just say, for instance, you win the Arnold Classic. Do you take the year off just for the Olympia, or would you still compete?
I'm going to take it. If God aligns everything in my favor and I do win the Arnold, I'll be taking the rest of the year off just because I do have some travel opportunities, things that I want to do as an ambassador for the sport, to travel around. So I originally was going to do the Pittsburgh Pro. However, I feel like an extra 9 or 10 weeks in a prep after the Arnold was not going to be conducive to being able to do the travels that I want to do and then also have a good enough off or like improvement season to really bring it for the Olympia because I'm looking at like what I brought for my Olympia look to what I'm bringing for my Arnold look, like just comparing the certain amount of weeks out to each, and I'm already bringing a much more refined look, and I'm like, I was able to do that with only like 8, 10 weeks in an improvement season. Imagine several months in an improvement season for me. So that's what we deduced it down to is we're just going to focus in on the big show after that.
I can say this, but like when with the whole Olympia and how you've done so far, I'm just like, holy crap! Like, if you win this Arnold Classic, it puts you as a front runner and a threat to win the Olympia title. Have you ever thought about that, or does that not come across your mind?
I cannot compute.
Because think, I mean,
At least not this
yeah,
soon.
yeah,
Like, I always am a person that can sit back and look at everyone's trajectories. I looked at Jen's and Angelica's, all the similarities of like starting like on points and trying to qualify and then finally getting some wins and especially like Jen's journey. Like, she doesn't have the most pro wins like as a pro, but she has
she has
two
five.
Olympia. Yeah,
Yeah.
she has two Olympia titles. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that there, it just shows me like hard work. That's something you can't take away from someone. Just keep working your hardest so you can climb your way up, essentially, especially if you have a look, you have the genetics, you got the structures, the shapes, you've got pretty much the foundation. You just need to refine it. And that's what I thought. I'm like, okay, maybe in the next couple of years, I could be looked at as a front runner. I just didn't think it would happen now, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be at Pittsburgh. I'm hoping I can try to make it to the Arnold. Based off my work schedule, but I'm gonna wish you all the best for this Arnold Classic. And hey, I would love to chat with you again, Jazz. You're awesome. And no question, you are
Awesome, of
hilarious, and
course.
you're hilarious to talk to. Like
I'm
we
glad you
need
think
people
so.
like you. We need jazzy energy for every show.
Always, anywhere and everywhere. I got you guys. I'll put it on my
Like
website. You could rent for the hour.
there were shows that you're the one like, yeah, girl, you're doing it. Like I'm like, that's jazzy, or like your mom's cheering for you.
My mom and me were the one and the same. She'll be at every show with me and she'll cheer for everyone on that stage. She will. 100%. We just like to bring good energy. The world needs more love, needs more positivity. And if I can be a pinnacle of that, at the end of the day, I'm just always going to choose to be that. If somebody else want to be negative Nancy's and all this, y'all could keep that. Y'all never going to get that from me. Okay. So y'all could, whatever. It's all love over here.
I appreciate everything, Jazzy. Listen, I'm gonna. I have my own solo podcast that I recorded. I'm gonna send you like the look. It's with you and Cash, but this is the thumbnail is gonna be different for when I post this one up. So just letting you know. I think you'll like it a lot.
I can't wait to see it.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it. I thank you so much for your time, and you have a good one. All right.
Thanks. You too, man.
All right. Take care. Bye.